Okay, guys. So I am such a love after lockup fan and life after lockup fan. Like for real. Like it's been a while since there's been a show that's really got my attention, and it's really good shit. And this show is awesome. So it's like it starts out with like people that are in jail, and honestly, I think mostly the people that are in jail are the one asking to be on the show. And so this means that they're dating someone, whether they've known them or they don't know them. Most of them, they don't know each other. Like, don't know that they don't know each other from the real life. Like, literally, it's a whole pen pal thing and it turns into a relationship. And it's so interesting. And, like, the main thing is that it makes people think. It makes them think, like who would want someone like that? Or how do they do it? Or, like, what is the attention, or like, whatever. Everyone's got their own opinion to that. So okay, so these couples that do this show have an NDA. And for you guys don't know what NDA, it's a non-disclosure. And that means that if you have to wait, like all of these guys have to wait in every aspect of their life. Like they have to keep secrets for like a year and a half or whatever until the show is finished. And when the show is finished, then you can announce whatever you want to announce, right? And if you break this, like it's a contract and all this shit, if you break this, you don't get paid. And people in reality shows, they get paid. And so like everybody wants some money, right? So we were talking last week about Heather, right? And like Heather has been, this is from the newest season, Heather has been kind of disclosing some things early that she's not supposed to, and like the details haven't come out yet if she didn't go against her NDA. Or she did, but maybe they'll make a deal with her. Maybe she's still attractive. Maybe she would still do a show. So anyways, so like no one's saying anything about Heather, right? And everyone's like Team Dylan, and Dylan is like this new model. Like Dylan is like the dude that had the mugshot that everyone said was like super hot. Like Dylan, he's the new prison hottie, if that makes sense. So everyone, like the show was totally portrayed like poor Dylan, because bitch was psycho, right? So now she is like, she's been dropping some hints, but now she honestly did like a full video. She did a full, for me, it was like a full disclosure. She did an interview yesterday on True Hollywood Gossip, and she really did some bombs. Like, she's talking about they only filmed those guys for 24 hours. 24 hours. But if you watch the show, it looks like they're together for 2 days. They break up and he gets his place. Like, it's totally like they filmed this show a year and a half ago. A year and a half ago. So can you imagine all those things that happened? So the show makes it look like she's batshit fucking crazy, which she's a little odd. But like I said, I'm totally about, like, I know, like, they edit stuff and they like to push things and, like, make things look the way that they want it, like the producers, like the plan of the show. So she says, and on her interview yesterday, like, okay, the show makes it look like they're together for 5 years while he's in prison. And then once he gets out, they are together for 2 days and they break up and he moves on and he's like got this perfect job and living this perfect life. Hell no. Heather done opened a can of worms with that shit. And like people are so against Heather. But after like hearing her interview, like I even looked at the comments, people do not believe her. I'm telling you, I changed my whole opinion on this girl. For real. So they were together. They lived together for 6 months. But the production team, like, made everything seem like it was 2 days. Played out this whole fight with them. And like I said, they were together for 6 months. he apparently, how you say that word, anyways, by her words, he went back to using. By her words, he strangled her. By her words, he made her pass out. I mean, by her words, it was the most horrible abuse you've heard of. But the show, Life After Lockup, makes it seem like he was perfect. And what was interesting in Heather's interview is she was talking about how she constantly was blowing up the probation officers, and not even the probation officers wanted to do anything about it. And like, she was in such a bad situation that she didn't let her kids come with her. And like, you know what I mean? Like, it was just like too much. She talked about 6 days after he got out of jail, which is like 4 days after we saw them on the show, that they did like a couples photo shoot, which I want to see the pictures. I want to see Dylan and Heather because they're both hot. Like, I want to see their little things. But anyways, about how he just like did the photo shoot, went home, and then was like, all right, well, I'm leaving you. I'm breaking up with you. And how Dylan, like, I'm telling you, like, Dylan, like, literally, I think he's the biggest manipulator, and that's my biggest revelation today, because everyone is Team Dylan because he's hot, right? But I'm telling you, if you put half of what Heather said of truth into the interview that she did, Dylan is a manipulator and a half. Like, I mean, Homeboy already knows. Homeboy knows he's hot. But, like, being on drugs, hanging out with people that got you arrested, being physically abusive, you know what I mean? I don't know, but there's a really big, like, lapse between what's true and what's not true. Heather said that Life After Lockup only shot them as a couple for 24 hours. And then, like, every time, like, she was freaking out, it's because she was worried about him. But they made it seem like she was on some other shit, if that makes sense. So I'll give Heather credit. Like, on her interview, she was looking good. And even, like, on the last episode of last week where they were, like, showing her on her model shoot, like, Homegirl looked good. You know what I mean? So I give her props for that. But, like, it just really opened my eyes at, like, how much production, like, really messed with this whole scene. Like, there are a lot of seriously legitimate lies, like serious misconceptions to people. And what's not fair is that people are coming after her hardcore. But I really respect her for finally upping up on the interview. Like, hopefully this video will get farther and people will realize, like, maybe she didn't tell the whole truth, but like, even if she told half of it, it really opens and shines a light on what that is. And like, we can't just let like cute people get away with shit. So I just feel like this is like a TBA. And I feel like no one sees like the crazy side of Dylan, and like I kind of see the crazy side of Dylan, and I think that that's going to come out. But like, the company like really likes him, and so they seem to really like bend over backwards for him. And like, he talks about how they were the best crew and blah blah blah, and he connected with them. And like, Dylan has this whole thing, but like, in her interview, she talks about how Dylan was like okay, Heather and Dylan apparently had an arrangement that they know how producers work. Heather did not apply for the show. It was Dylan, okay? Heather didn't want to do the show, is what she says. She says she wasn't down with it, but if they did it, she was going to make some like stipulations. And part of that was like, they were going to talk to different people. Like, they weren't going to talk to the producers alone. Heather already had like an inch of what life is like on reality TV. And I don't know how, that might come out later. But like, she already knew. So they decided that they weren't going to talk about it separately because they didn't want production messing with their relationship. And so it talks about how Dylan went against all that, and how Dylan, like, went in. Like, when you see Heather upset in the show, is because he's talking to production private, and she's just sitting there waiting, and she's trying to, like, help him get his shit together. And then Heather talks about she has 3 kids, y'all. And she talks about Dylan, that he was like this whole like father figure and like did stuff for the kids, and they tried to get married, y'all. They tried to get married for 5 years in a row. But they didn't. I'm telling you, God was looking out for that shit. They didn't get married. But like Dylan got out of jail and abused the fuck out of her. Whether she's broken or not, whether she's crazy or not, you don't deserve that. You know what I'm saying? And so I just really feel like Dylan has two faces. And if you want to open your eyes, or like if you want to keep just saying that he's perfect and we feel bad for him, like y'all go ahead, but like I'm not falling for it. I'm not falling for Pretty Boy anymore. So anyways, and you know, things were so bad with Dylan that she decided not even to have her kids around, you know. And like I said, she talked about some shit where she changed her, and this is a little sketchy sounding, but she said she changed her number twice, and Keith still found her. Like apparently while he was in jail, Key was the aggressive one, that it wasn't her being the nut. But anyways, it's just very interesting to finally see another side of the story. And I'm in the gray area, but that's a lot for Heather to make up. That's a big story for her to make up. You know what I'm saying? So I believe more in the broken girl than I do the little cute boy, if that makes sense. So anyways, I just thought this was like a super important interview, and it was so awesome that she did it. And she said that she's gotten like a lot of requests for interviews, and she didn't want to do it. She said she didn't want to do a pre-recorded because she learned about this reality stuff. And she was talking about how apparently Dylan broke up with her because she was too sexual. Like as far as videos, pictures, like hustling, like making money. Like she's gorgeous. Like I'm not against that any day of the week. But anyways, so she like tried to do this whole like fitness image afterwards to make Dylan happy. But Dylan was like, "You're bad for my image." Well, if he's beating the fuck out of her, he's bad for life, humankind. But anyways, I just really want you guys to look at this interview. Like, I'm not promoting anything, but if you're a Love After Lockup fan like me, you have to listen to this interview to get perspective. Okay, guys? So anyways, have a good night. It's Friday. Peace, love.